Greetings everyone, thanks for joining me today on the Moneybag 73 channel. Hope you're all feeling nice and comfortable, being wary for your reality shifts. Today I want to recommend an excellent podcast that I came across last night. This is from a channel called Beacon of Reason. The man's name is Michael, he's from Holland, and he's a speech language therapist. He only has 3 subs. I encourage you to sub his channel. He's just started making videos. I think he has 5 videos. This was an excellent video. I want to touch on a few things here and, help him build his channel here. He feels like it's time he needs to have his voice heard. I think he's been paying attention for quite a while, but he feels like he has something to contribute, and he definitely does. I'm happy he made this, and I hope you guys will check it out. I think a lot of you are really going to like it. I enjoyed it. I listened to it last night before turning in. So I wanted to first talk about how he gives an explanation of how he knows that Kit Kat had a dash, an anchor memory. He gives an excellent reason for how he knows that the dash was there, and so you have to hear that story. For him, there's no doubt. This is all he needs to know the Mandela effect is real, just from this one change. But what I really want to talk about is this globe here. Now this is from a standardized vocab test for children, vocabulary test. And when they do these drawings and these tests, he's explaining how that the drawings need to be accurate and recognizable. You can't just put something crazy here. The kids have to be able to recognize. So this is the artist's rendition of the world map. And this is almost identical to how I remember, not directly below North America, but a little to the right. Somewhere here, Texas maybe would be, coming down near Peru. It wasn't all the way over here, but it wasn't like you see it now. Before I go show you the globe, I want to touch on this here. Hudson Bay looks a little more familiar here. Now it's like way down here. It's just huge. It's like half of Canada's missing. And then here you have the Strait of Gibraltar. Is how I remember it. It's wide open. You could barely get through there now in a little rowboat. I'm just kidding, but I mean, it's really tight now. I remember it wide open like this. Who agrees? Comment down below if you agree with me that this looks like the Strait of Gibraltar to you, and the Rock of Gibraltar would have been an island here inside this strait. Well, now it's connected to the mainland. And the books. So I want to move over and I want to discuss a few things here. So this is incredible. This makes me feel so good seeing this. This is awesome. It just feels good to have this look close to my memory here because it just looks so bad now. It's so hard to look at. But in the video, he also talks about Australia. Now I wonder how Australia would be on the other side of this here if we could see it. I would hope that it would be in the middle of a vast ocean with nothing around it except New Zealand to the northeast. As you know, New Zealand's in the southeast, but on this here globe, I would expect it to be in the northeast with nothing around it for, 700-800 miles of ocean all around Australia. That's how I recall it. And Michael goes into telling about how he did a project in school where he picked indigenous cultures to study, and he read a book and they were talking about the mystery of how the Aboriginals arrived in Australia. That's my anchor memory. I always wondered how they got all the way from Africa over to Australia in the, could have been 50,000 years ago. No, I just didn't think they had boats that would bring them that far through vast ocean. Now, I think we'll go over here now. So here's North America, and South America is way over here on this Google Maps. It just looks so off. But now if we look at Australia, there's no what's the mystery of how the Aboriginals arrived in Australia? They just, you can go over here through Iraq, Pakistan, come down, go through China if you want, or come down through India, through Thailand, Malaysia, do a little rafting here. Come over. Oh, someone pointed this out. Someone was asking me if I ever heard of Kalimantan. this here this here huge piece of land, which doesn't have a name on it at this distance. Yeah, I mean, Singapore and Indonesia, but here you have Brunei. Well, what's this? This whole... I never heard of this, but that doesn't mean much. You know, I don't know this part of the world that well, so I'm not an expert on the Southeast Asian islands here. So, but anyway, I feel like I'm an expert on the positioning of Australia because I looked at it so much as a kid and always wondered how these folks made it over here. Well, now it just, you know, they just jump island hop. It doesn't, there's no question, there's no mystery. So I think that's really cool that he has the same memory as me, wondering how the Aboriginals got over here to Australia. So there'll be a link down below to the podcast. I recommend you check it out when you have some time. One other thing before I go that I wanted to mention was Cuba. It seems like every time I look at the map, Cuba is growing. It's so huge, everybody. Comment down below if you agree. Cuba keeps growing. In my memory, Cuba maybe was like, I don't know, half the length of Florida? Just a small island here? Cuba is 777 miles long. It's 277 miles longer than the state of Florida. Now, I went and I checked, well, how wide and long is Texas? Texas is 790 miles north to south and 660 wide. So Cuba is wider than the great state of Texas, everybody. I mean, that's news to me. That's crazy. And it's almost as long as Texas. There's no way that in my memory, if you asked me, is Cuba as long as Texas? I would have said no. It's like a quarter or something. You know, it's quarter the length. So this is just crazy right here, Cuba. I just wanted to point that out as I was looking at this because it's just so crazy. Yeah, I mean, it hurts my head to look at the maps. You know, my dad's grandparents came from Italy to Santa Rosa, California. And I looked at Italy a lot as a kid because this is where my ancestors came from. And it was a boot kicking a ball. It wasn't a ball resting on the toes of the boot. The boot was going to kick the ball. Italy wasn't cocked back so far like it is here. I don't even remember Sardinia. I don't recall it because I go to Italian clubs growing up and they would have the boot and the ball. They didn't have this, but now when you look at a map of Italy, it always includes this here island where Columbu's from, the bodybuilder, Franco Columbu, who was always Columbo for me, but he's from here, so I should check out other famous people from Sardinia here, and I imagine we'd find some other Mandela effects with those individuals. If you know how that works, a lot of times bands that have changed their names through the Mandela effect, they have a lot of Mandela affected songs and such. But yeah, this is incredible. At this distance here, it looks like they're touching. Never the case. To put this how I remember it, I would say that at this distance here, zoomed in, I would put Sicily starting maybe here and running this way. There was at least this much ocean all the way to like here. And then you'd have Sicily. So just crazy. It's just totally crazy. This here is really crazy. I remember when the banks, I was doing the financial videos. I remember when the banks went bust. Cyprus, had to run on the banks. People were withdrawing all their money. Cyprus was over here near Greece. I remember when it was in the news. I remember clear memory of it being not far off of Greece here. Well, now it's way the heck over here by Turkey, kind of hidden off in its own here. So, just so many changes. It really hurts my head looking at the world map. But, yeah, see, there's Hudson Bay I was mentioning earlier. I don't know about half of Canada, but it just looks really large. I remember it being smaller. But, yeah, I have a video on the... Oh, it's linked in the gentleman's video, my map video. And when so many people comment and say, I remember everything like you. I mean, come on, everyone. You can't say, well, you're just having confabulations and cognitive illusions. It's not possible for me to get on YouTube, make a video, and say, you know what? This continent was here, this one was here, Italy was not angled so much, and it was further away from Sicily, and this and that, and this one here, gap was much huger. I would have said, this here would probably be starting way over there. There was a huge gap here. I mean, now they're almost touching. Japan was not right off of this here was down here. Japan was not right next to it. I know that you can judge me and say I don't know geography. It doesn't matter to me, because I know that I'm an educated person when it comes, not an expert, but I have general knowledge on a lot of stuff. I used to look at the globe as a kid as a fun thing to do, as opposed to, kicking the soccer ball around outside. I spent a lot of time looking at the map, especially Japan and Italy. My mom went to high school in Japan. My grandfather was stationed here in the Navy. So I looked at this area where my mom was in high school. I looked at these areas growing up. My father and my brother were both stationed in South Korea in the Army. I looked at these areas. This here, I don't remember having a border with Russia. And I remember it further down here. I remember Japan to the northeast of Korea. So I know that sounds crazy. I've done another video on that. But if you agree with me, please comment down below. Maybe someone can come across that comment and say, well, this guy's just stupid. And they'll see that that's not the case. There are a lot of people agree with me on this. So anyway, I don't know why I'm trying to prove myself, but this here, Sri Lanka, I remember it over here, or it wasn't over there. It just looks wrong. But anyway, this turned into a geography video that I wasn't talking about. Mongolia was this giant country here. Mongolia is, oh my gosh, I don't know, what are you going to compare it to? It's like, it's the size of, it's bigger than Turkey, it's bigger than Iraq. It's similar in size to Iran. It's bigger than Egypt. I remember this being part of China. This wasn't its own, I was really blown away when I heard the Mongolian army sent people to Iraq. I think around 2003, 2004, the Mongolian army helped us out in Iraq. News to me. But anyway, so that's it, everyone. There'll be a link down below. Please check out the podcast by Beacon of Reason. And I encourage you to subscribe to the channel and help them out. I don't like to see this. I was the 3rd subscriber. So I hope you subscribe. I'll also go ahead and link up the radio show that I was on a few nights ago. I encourage you to subscribe to his channel as well. Hopefully soon I'll be doing something on here again, so I encourage you to go ahead and subscribe to this channel. I had a really good time on this radio show. If you haven't seen it, I'll link it down below. It came together really well, so I'd recommend everyone check out this here as well. That's it, everyone. I'll talk to everybody soon. Hopefully within the next day or two, I'll have another voting video coming out. So that's it. Go create the reality that you want, and I'll talk to everyone soon.